We are away from the studio. The Inspector General of Police, James Opombuenu, says coronavirus technical team has been set up at the police headquarters to deal with all matters that will crop up as a result of the pandemic. At the launch of a nationwide fumigation and disinfection exercise of police installations at the National Police Training School, he stated the police hierarchy will do everything possible to create a conducive and safe workplace for all personnel.
To the personnel of the Ghana Police Service who have devoted your lives to help enforce the restrictions, or let me say, who have risked your lives to ensure that the restrictions are enforced, to make sure that Ghanaians stay safe. The police administration thanks you very much for your devotion, and I want to assure you on behalf of the Police Management Board that appropriate measures have been put in place to support you and to support you to prevent you from getting the infection and to treat any of you who may be infected in the course of your duties. A COVID-19 technical team has been constituted at the headquarters that is dealing with all matters relating to the pandemic, and will ensure that you get maximum support, as well as members of your family in these difficult times. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this fumigation and disinfection exercise has become crucial following the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. So you will notice that this is a special one, quite different from the one that we have had previously with Zumlayan. As you are all aware, the Ghana Police Service, supported by other sister security agencies, have partnered the Ghana Health Service as frontliners to help fight this pandemic.
The Director of Police Public Affairs, Superintendent Sheila Abiye Bachman, meanwhile, says testing of all police officers for coronavirus is still ongoing. She adds two COVID-19 Nigerian patients who were in the custody of the police have been discharged from the police hospital after they were certified as having fully recovered.
Testing is actually ongoing for all police officers. That is what we arrived at now. Okay. Because people had to go to the office to pick PPEs and others to go for their duties. So testing is ongoing for all police officers.
Even and they are in, go on lockdown
yes,
duties.
Every police officer, and they are being done in batches. I do know as of yesterday that several results had come in, and they have been good. So all those who tested negative have resumed work fully. You know, it's been how many weeks since the lockdown duties? And testing started almost immediately. There were some of us who were lucky to have tested even earlier, like a day or two before the process ended. Okay. So by now, almost everyone who might have gone on the lockdown and who had issues would have had it. But I do know that the test results we have had so far are encouraging. There are some cases that our health people are following up on, but work has resumed. Okay. I have been briefed that so far, like almost everyone who was tested is okay, and that's why we've been asked to resume duties.
The fight against coronavirus is expected to receive a boost as health officials in the Ashanti region welcome real-time data on the pandemic. Now it follows completion of backlog of samples for testing at the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research. Regional Health Director Dr. Emmanuel Tinkrine says the development addresses difficulty about the absence of real-time data due to uncleared samples in laboratories. He told the news conference in the Ashanti regional capital that Kumasi health officials will now be adequately equipped with the right sort of information on the pandemic.
Until now, the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research has been the only biosafety level 3 laboratory for the northern sector. Despite staff running 24-hour service, there was always backlog of cases to be cleared. At least 8,000 samples, which have been astounding, were cleared as at Wednesday. Dr. Emmanuel Tinkran says it is welcome news.
We were working basically on how to get a real-time data for all the cases. What we realized is that because of the challenges we had, the number of cases that were at the laboratories, we had a lot of backlog at the laboratories. And for that reason, we were not getting the real-time data. So now, with the support of the labs, we've been able to clear a lot of backlog. As at now, Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research have worked so hard, they've been able to clear the backlog. So from now, our hope is that we'll get a real-time data. Because if we don't get a real-time data, then the case management becomes very difficult. In the sense that maybe when you take a sample today and you don't get the results as early as possible, that person may infect so many people by the time the result comes as positive. So now the focus is to get a real-time data or real-time information so as to know who to isolate and then who to discharge as far as you are a suspected case. So far, we've been able to work with the labs. It's our plan to decentralize the labs. So apart from Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research, we are also working with Ghana Health Service to set up at least 2 labs in addition to KCCR. One will be based in our public health reference lab in Kumasi South. And then we're also talking to Kofanochi to see whether we can use their lab. There are other facilities that is in Kumasi that we can put in shape. Example is the Hope Exchange Hospital.
Despite the success chalked, health authorities have another hurdle to clear. That is stigmatization. They have had to rely on security agencies to protect contact tracers who have always come under attack. Dr. Emmanuel Tinkran wants all hands on deck to fight this new enemy, stigmatization.
One thing that we want you to do for us is to address the issue of stigma and discrimination. People who go through the protocol and then are discharged, when they go home, they are usually faced with challenges. Anytime we are going to pick a case, there's always a fight. And some of them do not understand, and they resort to social media to discredit what we are doing. We are doing it in your interest. Everybody is fighting together in this country. We need a lot of cooperation as far as the fight against COVID-19 is concerned.
From Kumasi, Ohimi Interior reporting.
And that's it, the stories we have. But look, let me just bring you one more. The Journal of the American Medical Association reports in February puts the percentage of COVID-19 patients who had fever at 98. Gun thermometers, therefore, come in handy for measuring temperature. But they are largely imported, expensive, and could scan only a person at a time. Now, thankfully, a local smart thermometer equipped with an app developed by a Ghanaian engineer, I tell you, could address all these concerns. Now, on Tech Thursday, Love FM's Kwesi Debra is speaking with innovator Eric Obing.
I'm Eric Obing, aka Professor. I'm the founder of Electronics, a company that deals in designing smart systems, software systems, IoT, and many more. So in my hands, I have a device that I've designed to help combat the COVID-19 pandemic. I call it CoVScan 19. You can also call it DOCAS, meaning doctor's assistant. So when during the lockdown, when the soldiers were put out there, I was wondering, how do they even detect the people that they were interacting with? How are they able to know that this person has the infection? Because there were a lot of videos where the soldiers have to be holding people, lashing people and all that. So I thought of it that what if I can give them something they can use to detect, at least give them some amount of knowledge on who has the disease or who doesn't have. Most of the infrared-based temperature sensors, they are just one spot. They pick one point temperature and that's it, okay? So in case the reading is being affected by a lot of noise, okay, a lot of background noise, then it's very difficult knowing or estimating the actual temperature. But this system doesn't pick just one temperature spot. It picks 64 at a point and times 10 of that within 1 second. So if there is any perturbation or fluctuation in temperature, it is easy to detect that. So the system works on a Bluetooth. It communicates via Bluetooth with the app, okay? So I'm going to I'll push this button to turn on the system. So now if I accept to scan the environment, it says scan environment completed. Now it is transmitting it to the app. Okay, so once it is done, you can see that the app is now demonstrating or showing the heat sources. Okay, now these heat sources, there is a legend down here. For instance, this color represents any temperature. So it represents, for instance, this color represents 29.25 degrees Celsius. This is about 30. So each cell would give you the temperature that it corresponds to. Okay, so with all this functionality, it still doesn't cost that much. I spent not more than 300 cedis making this prototype. But then if I am to create this for commercial purpose, I can shrink it and do everything on one board. So maybe it may increase just a bit, but then in general, this device doesn't cost much to reproduce. Another thing is that this system can scan more than one person at a time. Okay, so if I fix it in a room, for instance, then whoever falls within the range can be measured. The temperature of the person can be measured, and it's irrespective of the fact that the person is moving or not. The temperature can be measured. So just imagine our AirPods. Okay, we mount this on a robotic arm that can move in all the 3 dimensions. Then this system can be working like a heat-seeking missile, scanning on its own, okay? And the moment it detects any abnormal temperature or temperature anomalies, it can now signal whoever is in charge that there is something, and whoever, it will actually focus or zero in on that person and be following that person who has that abnormal temperature. So it will be easy for the authorities to detect whoever is having that abnormal temperature, okay? And it can also be used. You see, one of the things that most medical situations have is temperature changes. Ebola had the same thing, SARS. So even after COVID, this system will still be useful to the medical professionals because they can use it for temperature-related works in their clinics or hospitals. You can use it to monitor particular patients and then set some alarm systems. So maybe if the temperature of the patient hits 38 degrees Celsius, the doctor should be alerted. All these things can be done with the system. And another interesting thing is this device is programmable, and at every point in time, the firmware can be changed to do anything that you want, so far as it is within the specifications of the hardware. And best of it all is that it was designed in Ghana.
Yeah, we have great innovators right here in our country. And talking about innovation, we will explore more of them right here on the show. But look, today we have a conversation with Fancy Gadam. He's a king of the north, as we have decided to designate him. But we want to ask him how he's using his talent, his work, to be able to reach out to his community, his fan base, and the wider country within this period. What sort of education and content and artistic innovation has he been able to bring to bear on the industry? But before then, I would have brought you this conversation with our lead psychiatrist we're having on the show. We're streaming her into the studio, and we've decided to attach the hashtag to the conversation, Ask the Psychiatric. And it's very simple. We're in a very stressful period, and many of us don't have our mental health state, right? But because we're in that cocoon environment, we're not able to have anybody to talk to. And so we have the professional who right here is open for you to ask any question at all. And we're going to have that great conversation. I know you're going to enjoy it, but in the meantime, we have to take a break. When we do come back, we're doing the newspapers, myself and Mama V. She, though, I've seen her, she's looking splendid this morning. Do join us. So we have to do the newspapers. Mama V is here. Mama V, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
I love your dress.
I heard you talk about my dress.
Yeah, I did.
Well, thank you. It's an Ajua Yeboah collection, the fabric and the design. Hopefully, you'll be able to have a full feel of the dress before we wrap up our show.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because I think everything about it is pretty. So thank you, Ajua Yeboah Clothing. Check her out on Facebook, Instagram, and let her make something beautiful for you. But Roland, it's a Thursday.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a Thursday. So as we know, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we get the briefing on COVID-19, Ghana's situation. So there's one later on this morning. We'll bring you that live here on Joy News. You've got to stick with us all through. But we've got the newspapers as well. I will start with the Daily Graphic newspaper. Roland? Are we doing the papers?
Yeah, we are. Please go ahead.
Okay, but there's a conversation on the show that I'm excited about. You know, we're battling, we're in very difficult times. People going through different things. It's bringing a lot of stress, worry, there's also fear, plus the fact that we're battling this very tiny enemy, which is the virus. We've got a psychiatrist on the show this morning. If you've got questions, anything that you want to speak to her about, please send us your messages. We will activate the phone lines as well. So you can send us the WhatsApp messages on WhatsApp, and also we will open the phone line so you can send us regular messages as well. Coping with stress, fear, and worry in these times. Dr. Ruth Owusu-Enchi is our doctor on call this morning. She will take all your questions and address them accordingly. So you've got to stay with us for that conversation. Let's do the newspapers now. Let's start with the Daily Graphic newspaper. On the front page, more young people contracting COVID-19 in the Ashanti region. This is coming out of their briefing yesterday. Zoom Lion to fumigate police facilities. A Kropon Kingmakers fine 48,576 Ghana cedis. But the banner headline, Ghana Education Service promotes 18,475 teachers after maiden promotion tests. I'm sure you remember when this whole test came about, because according to the details, every year about 35,000 GS staff applied for promotion, and in undertaking the exercise, the GS would usually set up about 150 panels across the country, with each panel of 5 members interviewing 8 people in a day, and people, after the results are out, people would have issues, they would petition, and you know, with all the allegations of victimization and corruption. So in June last year, they came up with this initiative to have this test, this exam done, and then, you know, following that, teachers will be promoted. So the aptitude test, this is the result of it, with about 18,000, well, almost 19,000 teachers being promoted. We will see fallout of this story or this promotion coming up later as well. Boy 2, a very tragic one. Boy 2 dies in a Pramdo explosion, and this happened yesterday. Let's see what's in the center spread of the paper. Otum 4 is 70. Today, Roland, I'm a bit confused. Was this supposed to... Okay, so this is the Wednesday, because Otum 4, in the center spread, you may be, if you jump at it like I did, because the dates in the center spread is May 6, but it goes with the theme. Otum 4 is 70, grateful to God for grace and favor. So as he turned 70 yesterday, the paper is celebrating him in the center spread. So beautiful pictures, and the very young Otum 4 right there. You won't believe it. Okay, so you can check it out. On the back page of the paper, police arrest Unipass protesters at Snima And Ghana repatriates 23 illegal foreigners. It says a joint team of the Ghana Immigration Service and the Ghana Armed Forces in the Northeast region has stopped 23 foreigners from entering Ghana illegally. The foreigners, 15 Togolese and 8 Burkinabes, who tried to use an approved route to enter the country, have been repatriated to their respective countries. So that's what's on the back page of the paper, as you can see on your screen. Let's continue with the Ghanaian Times, and on the front page of the Times, 70,000 free masks for Accra to enable residents comply with mandatory mask wearing directive. Asante Hene marks 70th birthday anniversary. Police Zoom Lion launched fumigation of police facilities nationwide. Back page of the paper, details of that police story. And then a number of people wearing nose masks not encouraging despite government directive. So basically these days you'd find, and the picture that comes on the back page of the paper with the headline, hopefully you'd see it, it says ACP Kwesi Fori instructing an ice water seller to wear her nose mask. Do I have to show it to you, or we're going to bring that to our viewers screen? All right, so you see there. Social distancing and asking her to do the right thing. Yeah, we have to continue to do that. And it shouldn't just be the police. I think, Roland, I think all of us, like every citizen, if you see your neighbor not doing the right thing, you should remind them why they should do it and why they must do it. That's the only way we can succeed. Yeah,
it's a great concern. And for me, usually my route to the house, I have to go through sometimes Ashaiman or go through Lashibi. And when I go through Ashaiman, Charlie, sometimes it's, you see everybody talking without nose mask, and you begin to question. So sometimes I'm just compelled to hop out of the car and say, look, you guys need to wear some nose mask.
I think people are still joking with the whole subject of the COVID-19.
I think so.
People still not believing what we're dealing with.
Yeah. Because it's very dangerous for you to talk without a nose mask, or even interact with in a gathering, whether it's 2 or 3 or 4 people or more, and get to find people thinking that they can just go about their daily chores or activities without a nose mask. It's so dangerous.
Yeah. All right, let's continue with the Daily Statesman newspaper. Here's what's on the front page. NPP donates to Chief Imam to support Ramadan fasts. Rush to show creativity. GSA, that's the Ghana Standards Authority, demands COVID-19 innovations meet standards. NDC suspends Alote Jacobs over anti-party conduct. Koku Anyidoho, the next target, with a question mark. On the back page, ex-President Kufuor implores Otumfuo to appoint competent people to manage Kotoko. We were given a bottle of Guinness after winning matches. Former Ashko striker reveals Nana Frimpong, and he's disclosed that they were offered bottles of Guinness after winning matches at the Obuasi Base Club. Okay. Let's finish off, at least the papers that I have, the Business Finder. Here's what's on the front page. Vegetables, fruits, businesses lose over $1 million due to impacts of COVID-19. And it says restrictions imposed on movements and the ban on flights out of Ghana in the bid to contain the spread of COVID-19 pandemic have culminated in heavy losses in excess of $1 million within a month to players in Ghana's agribusiness industry. So during and after the partial lockdown, actors in the production, processing and distribution of fruits, vegetables, poultry products and other crops have been hardly hit. Yesterday, Roland was reminding us about the malls and how they were also complaining that people were not patronizing. Even food is affected. The last thing you think about is clothing, really. So that will be heavily dealt with as well. Distributors question increase in prices of steel products. And then Ecobank, GCB, others post impressive results. Others are crying. Others continue to make money. That's how it is. It depends on your area of specialty, I guess. They've got the market summary as well, consumer price inflation. So March 7.8%, February 7.9%, January 7.7%. And then also the interest rate as well. The 91-day Treasury bill is 13.9%, and then the 182 is 14.76%. If you can go a whole year, 17.83%. I don't know, I was just thinking, you know, it's hard, but if you can squeeze some money that you may not need, Roland is the business guy. It's a good time to invest, right? Is it?
Yeah,
long-term investment? Or?
No, not long term, because well, it depends on what you want to say by long-term investment. If you can invest in a valuable property or in an immovable property, maybe a land or something of the sort, yeah, because for those in real estate, etc., they may decide to slash down prices, discounted, and it depends on what the objectives are for the year. So it's a good time to do some investment in that.
Okay, but if you're doing like the treasury bills,
but if you're talking about the markets, the normal financial markets, I'm not too sure.
Okay,
I'm not too sure it's the best time.
Okay, all right. So that's it for me. That's how the Business Finder is looking today by way of what's on the front page. Roland Walker.
Yeah. So I have to take you to the front page of the Daily Guide. And the Daily Guide will soon be on your screens. But what I have here, I have the hard copy. So you'll get the soft copy on your screens. And it's captioned, Killer Fetish Priest Escape from Suhum. And it has an attached picture of Berima Opoku Afinyakon, Chief of Kwesi Nyakon. Okay, we have on the front page, police station disinfection begins. Police stations disinfection begins. And the IGP launching the program. This is a great collaboration with Zoom Lion. And it's other waste subsidiaries who are also assisting with this. Vector Pay is also in the great mix there. Good work they've done over the period of the crisis up to now, and continue to do that because they have the capacity. Moving on, we have a tune for is my advisor, Bawumia, and Bawumia just refers to the vice president. Of course, we all do know that. First National Bank, GH buys Ghana Home Loans Bank, and that has been brought to you over the last 24 hours. Still in the news, occupying the front pages. NDC runs from Peace FM, and it's all because there's a formal letter. I will bring that letter onto your screens very soon when we have it onto about Alote Jacobs, former chair of the NDC for the Central Region. Apparently, there's a directive, a letter indicating his suspension. So because of comments he makes when he appears on Kwame Safakai's program.
So he cannot appear as an NDC representative, but he can appear in his own capacity as a person with appreciable knowledge of issues.
Very well.
Okay, I guess.
And it's also at the discretion. And it's also at the discretion of the editorial policy handlers or the program producers of Peace FM. So on one hand, the party would say that, look, he's not speaking for us. But you know, psychologically, because he's occupied the position of being a central regional chair of the NDC, I mean, everybody will know that he's an NDC person invariably. So it's a lose and win situation. So on one hand, but you know, over the period too, we've had Paula Foucault and the rest also getting their own when the MPP was in opposition. So let's go to the back page. The back page also has a number of stories. Don't be mad at government, and it's Kojo Nkrumah, the information minister, pleading with the football fraternity to adhere to government decision to suspend football amid the coronavirus pandemic. It's all the latest you can get. Esipong set for $3 million facelift that is needed. Actually, all the stadiums in Ghana will need that. Adebayo denies calf bashing, and player charged for masturbation. We're talking about Farid El Malali was arrested on Monday night after being charged with sexual exhibition in France, a French city. Yeah. He plays for Ligue 1 Angers. I hope I pronounce it right. Angers. Let's go to the Daily Dispatch newspaper. So we have on the front page of the Daily Dispatch newspaper. If MPP handpicks parliamentary candidates, Akufo-Addo could lose over 400,000 votes through apathy. And just, was it 2 or 3 days ago, Mama Via was talking about how democracy needs to exist, needs to be entrenched. But I'm thinking, at least for first-timers, the party needs to protect them.
How is that democracy?
Which you disagree. Yeah, but you can do the lobbying on the side. You have to do it behind the curtain, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you can lobby.
Yeah.
But it's an open field, right?
Contest, yes. True.
So,
so we have other stories.
Let's play.
It's not easy. So we have other stories occupying the front page of the Daily Dispatch newspaper. 300 million USD stolen money returned to Nigeria. It has to be the Abacha money. Definitely. The story is occupying is on the fourth page of the Daily Dispatch. We're told that there are others that are scattered across the world, Saudi Arabia and the rest. Oh, Lord. Dominic Nitterwall reacts to ruling on Ghana-US military agreement, and I have not threatened Adwoa Safo, Michael Quay Jr. clarifies. We know that the ruling MPP will have their primaries this May. We'll be bringing
Have they made it
all
public?
that to you on the
Have they
election.
made it public? Because you can't set a date when we still have restrictions and
Fantastic.
that has not been lifted.
Okay, I'm predicting.
So you're predicting, or the party has put it out there?
They don't have time.
Okay, because that would be very interesting in my opinion. Yeah. Okay, you're done?
I'm done.
All right. There's a story in the Daily Graphic. It's actually a front page story. We've carried that here on Joy News, but we did talk about it when it happened, particularly on Monday on our show. It has to do with the 4 persons who were arrested during the installation of the new Okuapehene in Ekropong last Friday. They've been fined by the Ekropong Circuit Court, presided over by Mrs. Arit Nsebo. The 4 sentenced on their pleas of guilty to the offense of flouting the directives on restrictions on all social and public gatherings have been fined a total of 48,576. They will each serve a jail term of 4 years if they default in payments in paying the fines. The convicted person, well, their names have been given, details of that, and the exact law that they also breached. I mean, we were talking about something being done, but I'm not sure I'm particularly happy about this, considering there was a directive and they just blatantly decided to go against it. They've been found guilty of it, but it just also says in another breath that, well, if you can afford to pay almost 50,000 Ghana cedis, you can just go against it and do what you want to do. So I'm not impressed, even though they've received some. The punishment that goes with flouting or breaking those directives. But just the fact that we all knew we had directives and we had a law, actually, not even a directive, and they went against it. I'm not really happy, but hey, who am I? Roland, is there any story that you want to pick on before we do myjoyonline.com and the BBC? Yeah,
there's a story that you read on the front page of the Business Finance. Quickly, I'll just take a minute, and it's about how vegetable fruits businesses lose over $1 million, and I also know that this is not only going to affect the local producers, but also those who tend to export internationally, because the demand is not out there in Europe, many of the destinations in the US as well, that they tend to do the exports. And I think this is the time that they need the support of all of us and of government to be able to show up.
Well said. Let's do myjoyonline.com with the rest of the minutes that we have before we bring you sports. So let's check out what's on our page. One of the key things you will find is that our case counts, Ghana's confirmed COVID-19 infections have gone up to 3,091. Greater Accra still leading with the numbers 2,579. Ashanti region has now recorded 165. Eastern region 95. Western North 56. Central 50. Western region 32. Volta 30. Upper East region 26. Oti 23. Upper West region 19. Northern 13. And then it goes on. You can, click on the story and read some more. Also on the page, you find the Alote Jacobs suspension, details of that. The letter is embedded in the story, so you can read exactly what the party says. And then, of course, this conversation was on PM Express. It was in our news. Vice chancellors could become puppets of politicians and the Public Universities Bill. Former University of Ghana Vice Chancellor making a very strong case. The fact that the bill currently before Parliament, if passed in the form that it is, will grant the Ministry of Education overreaching powers to interfere in activities of universities across the country. Find time and go through the rest of the stories on our page. Roland, this is where we have to...
Yeah, we have to say that we're going for sports, but we've also treated the education bill well, we also do know what's happening at the regional and the district front, where in consultation with the president, directors now will have to be appointed if this new one is approved, etc., raising concerns among Nagrat, etc.
All right, football is back in Germany sometime really soon.
Football made in Germany, but I have to say Merkel says, Charlie, put a hold on to it for some time, but it's still going to come on still.
So Benedict comes up with details.
Hi there, my name is Benedict Owusu. It's time to talk sports here on the AM show. And of course, today marks exactly a year that Liverpool beat Barca 4-0 to make the finals of the UEFA Champions League. How time flies, right? I'll show you highlights of, we'll take you through back Thursday to what happened at Anfield on that night. And of course, we have to start here on the local scene. And the Ghana Football Association has noted that the 2019-20 football season remains suspended following COVID-19. Well, if you remember, the league was suspended somewhere March 13, and since then there's not been any action in football here on the local scene. There's more in the following report.
The Ghana Football Association has announced that the 2019-2020 football season remains suspended until June 30, 2020 because of the coronavirus pandemic. As part of the measures to control the spread of the virus, the government banned all public gatherings, including sporting activities, in March. This led to the GFA suspending the Ghana Premier League and other competitions. Last week, the Confederation of African Football wrote to member associations to confirm the future of their competitions by close of May 5, 2020. Congo, Niger, Liberia, Ethiopia, Mauritius, Kenya, Guinea and Angola have all taken the decision to end their competitions. However, the GFA has decided against ending the season following an Executive Council meeting on Tuesday. In a statement, the FA said the Executive Council at its meeting on Tuesday, May 5, decided that the status quo remains, stating that the association is in various engagements with the government, the Health Ministry, the Ghana Health Service, the Ministry of Youth and Sports, the GFA medical team, CAF and FIFA. The Executive Council further stated that the association will continue to monitor the situation and would revisit it on June 30, 2020 after careful assessment and evaluation of the issue and take further decisions.
I'll still stay on the local scene, and former Ghana defender Joe Ado has revealed Abedi Ayew Pele and Tony Yeboah during their days at the Black Stars were not taking their winning bonus. Well, according to him, the two players who then were playing outside were always giving their winning bonuses to the home-based players, which he was part.
Our bonuses they were nothing. The $10 we had was just before we played the game. So like a week before the game, they start paying us the $10. So it would be like 5 days. So it would be $50. And then with our winning bonus back then, it was like 30 cedis or 40 cedis, something like that. And the good thing was the two professionals, which was Abedi Pele and Tony Yeboah, anytime they came, never took their bonuses. Never. They would say that their bonuses should be given to us.
Yeah.
You know,
I see.
All my time with the national team, Tony Yeboah, Abedi Pele, and Ali Ibrahim never took their bonuses.
Wow.
Even their per diems, they would tell me, I was the local captain, they would tell me to give it to the boys. Never took their money. It's amazing that, you know, they made money. They had families here. They could have taken that money to give their families, but they gave it to we, the local lads, and I thought that was great. Now,
Abedi Pele, Tony Yeboah, and Ali Ibrahim,
yeah.
they gave their bonuses to you, the home-based players.
Yes, always.
Wonderful.
Not
always.
one time. Always.
Consistently.
Tony was playing in Frankfurt. Ali Ibrahim was playing in Wattenscheid. They were all in Germany. And Abedi was playing for Marseille. And anytime they came in, our local players, who we had a lot of local players, they will give their bonuses, their per diems, their winning bonus, whatever bonus they come. And sometimes they even gave us money on top of our bonuses.
I see.
Yeah, those are good times. And when we're playing and they are in front, we wanted to die for them because we knew if we win, they will give us bonuses even before the administrators.
Wow.
It was great.
But difficult times made worse by the fear of an invisible deadly enemy who strikes via the very air we breathe. The coronavirus pandemic could have a profound effect on people's mental health now and in the future. That's according to psychiatrists and psychologists who are calling for urgent research. Obviously, increased social isolation, loneliness, health anxiety, stress, and economic downturn are a perfect storm to harm people's mental health and well-being. That also said by Professor Rory O'Connor, one who's an author and also with the University of Glasgow. So today here on our show, we want to talk about coping with stress. We know that it will make you, the people you care about, and your community much stronger. Our doctor on call this morning is Dr. Ruth Owusu-Entry, who heads the psychiatry unit of the Komfo Anokye Teaching Hospital. So our hashtag is Ask the AM Doctor. She's also the Vice President of the Psychiatric Association of Ghana. Doc, it's good to have you on the show again today. Thank you for accepting our call and being our doctor on call this morning. Okay, I guess we have to work on that sound because I didn't hear what Doc said. Hello, Doc, can you try again?
Hi.
Okay, it looks like we have to work on that sound real quick.
Good morning.
Oh,
is it better?
It is better. Good to hear you. So we want to talk about, have I put it right, the fact that everything that we're going through also breeds fear, worry, anxiety in general? Hello, Doc? Oh, okay, I guess we still have to do a little bit of work. Technology. You can't always be in control of it. It's 23 minutes after 7 here on the AM show. The segment that we're dealing with now is Ask the AM Doctor. It's a Thursday, and on Thursdays we have Healthy Thursday conversations. One of the things that we're faced with, one of the very difficult challenges, of course, with the different things happening today to different persons, we're having to go through a lot of stress. There's a lot of worry. There's also a lot of fear. If you look at the numbers that we're recording even in Ghana, you wake up, last night people didn't know that we had an increment in our numbers, for instance. So you wake up and you hear, oh, we've crossed 3,000. And you get to worry a lot more. If you engage children as well, you realize that they also have a lot of fear. My children say if we were to go to school, they were to say, oh, let's go to school tomorrow. I won't go. Mommy, I'm not going because coronavirus is out there. That's the belief, that's the thinking even for little children, some little children. So how do we do it? How do parents counsel and help children who may be really scared about what is happening? That's the conversation that we're having with our doctor on call this morning. I ask you to join us with your WhatsApp messages, with your text messages, and then we'll also activate the phone lines. She's Dr. Ruth Owusu-Antwi. He heads the psychiatry units of the Komfo Anokye Teaching Hospital. That's the conversation. We'll take a breather. We will come back. Okay, looks like we have to try and see if Dr. Owusu-Antwi can hear us right, and we can have a conversation. Good morning, Doc, again. Hello, Doc. Hello, Doc. Good morning. All right, I'm not sure this is working quite right. We will come back. Hopefully, we'll get to resolve that and begin the conversation. Stay with us. All right, so how will stress exhibit itself in a period like this? If you're going through anxiety, if you have worries, if you have fears because of what we're all faced with in our country today, kindly give me a call. You can join me 0302211691, or you can send me WhatsApp messages. We'll also put a post on Facebook. We're going to check out the comments on that Facebook post now, but we also have our doctor joining us. Hello, Doc. Good morning.
Good morning, Mama V. Thanks for having me. Can you hear me now?
I can. Somebody wanted to take you away from us, but thank God we have you back. So maybe you can just address the question that I just posed. How will stress exhibit itself now? People complain about not sleeping well, even though they have a lot of time these days. Could it be because they are stressed?
Yeah, you are right on that, Mama V. Stress generally is a move from your usual self, and that move would exhibit in several ways. For instance, there could be a change in sleep pattern, and this change could be excessive sleep or reduced sleep. There could be change in appetite. This can translate into excessive eating or increased appetite. People keep popping their heads into their fridge and checking on what they can nib on the next time they want to eat. It's not really that they are hungry, but the stress around is just pushing them into that habit. And again, the change in the eating habit can reflect as reduced appetite. There are other emotional changes that can occur in the sense that people become irritable, and people can cry for no apparent reason. People get angry, like I've already said, at the least provocation. And there is a sense of anxiety. People are always on the edge, can't feel relaxed. They are always scared about what next is happening. Some of these things show that we are experiencing stress from the pandemic.
How about the children? I mean, are they going through the same thing that adults are also going through?
It's amazing that in all of this, we seem to have left the children out of the conversation. Probably because we are not getting a lot of children dying, and probably those who even get the infection have just very mild forms. But children have been heavily affected mentally, emotionally, psychologically by this pandemic. You know, the psychological maturity and emotional development of children is carved by structures and into the society, how to develop psychologically and emotionally when there are sets of rules and regulations, when there are structures, there are timetable, their day is structured. So they know they wake up in the morning, they have to brush their teeth, they have to go to school. At this time, they come back home, they do their homework. Bedtime is specifically at this time and all that. But with this pandemic, all of that structure seem to have been thrown overboard. And that is heavily affecting children. Some of them are being overly exposed to long screen time. They sit behind whatever electrical gadgets they need, and by their screen time is also increasing. Parents are not at home. Parents are working, but schools are still closed down. And so that supervision that would have happened whilst parents are at work, thinking that their kids will be at school, and now it's not there. But if there were anybody or perpetrators of child abuse at this time, this will be their season to carry out their evil deeds. And so children are being affected psychologically as well. They have not been left out of the anxiety also. They hear, probably nobody is communicating to them or with them about they should not be afraid, etc. And so the anxiety that adults are experiencing, they are equally experiencing it. They may not have the benefit of social media, checking up on friends or Facebook, and so they miss their friends at school. There's no opportunity to interact with them. And somebody told me that for the past about 5-6 weeks, my kids have been indoors, and that is absolutely dangerous. And so generally and largely, kids have been greatly affected as well.
So how do we even begin a certain conversation with them? I mean, you close from work, you go home, they're happy to see you. They're not talking about coronavirus. It's just, oh, what did you eat? What have you boys been doing? Should there be more beyond these basic questions?
Certainly. We should take an opportunity to ask them what they have heard about coronavirus or COVID-19 in the course of the day. It would amaze you that whilst you think that they may be on their electrical gadgets playing games or watching their cartoons and etc., they would have a peep at what is going on in terms of the pandemic. They are as interested as adults. And so you can start off the conversation with, so what's in the news? I have been at work all day. What have you guys heard? And then they can be, auntie, they said so and so number of people have died. Wow, it was this number yesterday or last week, and today it is like this. That would be a very good point of starting a conversation with them, letting them know that yes, so and so number of people have died, but this is the number of people that have also recovered, and that many of the patients we are having in the country are mild cases being managed at home in isolation, and they are very stable. That reassures them. Again, children become more secured and confident when they know that, oh, the situation is under control, in terms of the fact that there are preventive measures that you can take to stay safe. And once they know what to stay safe, they become empowered about the whole pandemic, about themselves, about their security. They become empowered as well. And so let us not be concerned or be afraid to start a COVID conversation with these kids. And of course, find out whether in your absence they have done their e-learning, they have done the chores you left for them. Give them an opportunity to link up with their friends, phone their friends for them, or do a video call for them to get in touch with their friends. And that should be really helpful.
We're beginning to also have little school conversations. My children, for instance, say corona is out there, so they won't go to school. If, you know, it happens that school is back, I'm not sure if it is the next week or two. How do you, because corona isn't gone, how do you deal with the fact that they know there's a certain virus still out there and you're asking them to go out?
So exactly what I was saying, Mama, my kids have also expressed the same sentiment about having to go back to school. Hey, are we all going to be in masks? How do we even sit in the classroom now, etc. So these are genuine questions. But again, you can't empower them by telling them that, well, there are a set of preventive measures, infection preventive measures that have been put in place worldwide. And if they are able to stick by it, they should be fine. And of course, if there are any new measures and new information that come up, they would be told. And so that constant reassurance, keep washing your hands, use your hand sanitizer. I'll give everybody a hand sanitizer when you have to go to school. If they say come back to school in a nose mask, I'm going to make sure I provide it for you. Just make sure that you keep washing your hands, etc. If you are sneezing, sneeze into a tissue and put it in the dustbin immediately. So when we empower them with some of these set rules and regulations, the fear and anxiety about going back to school, or even going out of the house, is greatly lessened.
I want to invite our viewers into this conversation because we said ask the psychiatrist, right? So it's your turn now to give us a call and ask her what you want to ask in relation to this conversation. Very soon we will also bring you messages on Facebook as well. Before our viewers begin to call us on 0302-211-69-102. Doc, I want to ask, because I understand people whose loved ones have died as a result of the disease aren't given access to the bodies.
That is right. I am not a pathologist, but I am privy to that information that the body may not be given to you. There are processes with which the health system would handle the body by themselves. But there could be opportunity for people to maybe view for the last time very close people like a spouse or a child, view the body of their deceased loved one at a distance and in the appropriate PPEs. But of course, the usual thing of the dead or the departed being laid in state, filing past, paying last respect is not advisable now and cannot be done. And indeed, that all adds to the pain and the stress. Some people are unable to get closure with their departed loved ones because they were not around, they did not have the opportunity to pay last respect or file past the dead body or see the person in the last days. Indeed, most of the people that have passed on have been at ICUs where relatives are not even allowed in already. So you realize that even prior to the passing of their loved ones, there's been a cut-off for 2 weeks or even more. They could have been communicating on phone, etc., but there could have been that physical cut-off, and all of that can be very, very traumatizing and difficult. It elongates the grieving period, it elongates the anxiety and the stress, and it makes closure even more difficult.
Let's speak to Robert. Robert is in Kanishi. Uncle Rob, good morning, you're on air. Hello?
Hello, Mavi, how are you?
Very well, thank you, sir. I hope you're doing well too.
Yeah, I am.
Nice, good to hear from you.
Yeah.
Our doc is on.
Two things. One is that, yes, for assurance to our children is very important. It's something that I've been doing a lot, talking to them about. In fact, they sometimes come and then they give me a report. Hey, now it's 2,000, now it's 2,400, and those things. But they always also look at the recovery rate as well. They'll tell you 2,000, and then they'll do the calculation and tell you, so this is the percentage that, in fact, this morning they were calculating the number of, the recovery up to the effective rate, and they are telling that it's around 9.something%. So they are concerned. However, the movie, is it realistic to open the school now? Because for the children are children, especially the preschool, KG, and those things, are they going to wear masks from morning to afternoon? So in opening the school now, I think that we should take a second look at it. Let's wait. I think for me, they should wait until the thing is, we see that it is dead before we can open the school.
Okay.
Thank you very much. That's my take.
All right, I'll have our psychiatrists also have a say on that. But let's go to Glenn. Glenn is in Somanya. Hello, Glenn. Good morning.
Hello. Good morning.
Yes, Glenn. Thanks for calling. You on air. Let's hear you.
Okay. My problem is that some of the children are really suffering in the community.
When you say they're really suffering, what does it mean? Break it down.
Some of the parents, some of them are living with their aunties, some of them are living with their grandmas, and they are really like using the children. Like, it's so painful. The other time, in my community like this, some of the children are not, like how you were talking about this e-learning and all that. They are sent into the market to sell. They are sent into the market to sell, and these children are misused. They use them so bad, and I feel like they should do something. The government should do something about it, or put anything to just help these children. You understand?
Okay, all right. I do understand your concern. Thank you very much. Alem is in Agriza. Good morning to you, Alem.
Good morning, madam.
Yes, sir. You're on air. Let's hear you.
Yes, I actually am inspired by the doctor, what she's saying. Yes, but then the children who do not have access to television, especially the remote areas, I think it will be very great, laudable if education is done to cover those less endowed children. My children, they are very young, 6 and 4, but they have actually taken the song of the coronavirus, especially Joy News program. They have, anytime they see my finger or my wife's finger going towards the face, they say, no, don't touch, don't touch coronavirus. They have, it has become their song.
So they like the updates. They want to watch news related to it.
Yes, they want news related to it. But then my concern here is that is those who have access. But then those who haven't access to television, and then yes. So if there could be a way that those children in the villages can also get to know much about it, and then it will be very helpful.
All right, thank you very much.
But then thank you to Joy News. We have been following you, and then you are doing a fantastic job. Keep it up, and then we are very happy to get
we thank you
following you. Yes.
All right, we thank you for being on the other side and supporting us by watching. Thank you. Let's hear from Bridget. Bridget is in Sogakofa. Bridget, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Mama V.
Yes, Bridget.
Thank you very much for all the work you are doing.
Thank you for the support.
Please, with all this going on, I have a problem with the curriculum.
Okay.
I teach in a basic school where it's a public school here. And since the time this new curriculum has been put into place, we don't have the materials to teach with. And we now have this issue of let's open the schools, let's open the schools. The problem is when we go back to the schools, what are we even going to use in teaching? Some private schools have some materials which they got on their own, they are managing. What about the public schools? You go to the classroom and you are like, how do I start this? Where do I end? The children are looking at you thinking of how to go about this topic.
Okay.
So for me, instead of just pushing that we should open the schools back, let's go back to school, we should rather focus on getting the materials that we'll be using when we have to go back to school.
Okay, thank you very much.
To me, yeah,
it's interesting. We're talking about the psychological aspects of what we're going through, but there are real issues also beneath. Hudu is in Western North. After Hudu, we'll let our doctor address some of the concerns. So Hudu, good morning. Hello, Hudu.
Yes, hello.
Are you going through any form of stress because of what we're dealing with as a nation?
Yes.
Okay, Hudu, I see the problem. Kindly turn down the volume on that television set, okay? So you can speak through the phone.
I'm just impressed about what is going on the television.
Okay, so what comments?
You should keep it up.
All right.
But there is already a decline in the hand washing and the sanitizing.
There's a decline. Where?
There's a decline. Other people now, they are not taking the condition serious. They see some even express suspicion that it's not true. The disease is not there. Meanwhile, the disease is also among us. So it's good we enlighten the general public about it to prevent the spread of the condition as well.
Okay.
Because now the hand washing and the sanitizing and the social distancing is not up to expectations. So it's good we do public education more in order to achieve our aim.
But I'm wondering how you came to that conclusion. Is it a specific situation you've witnessed?
Sometimes I have friends and colleagues as well. When you call them, some of them they spread false information that they don't have any clear evidence, but they open their mouths and they spoil the information. They say the condition is not there, what and what. So that's just the only thing I want to ask.
Okay, all right. That's very important. So thank you for sharing, Hudu. Doc, you've been listening to some of the concerns that have come through. It looks like because we talked about children, there's a bit of education in there. Are all these things coming out because, again, this is mental, we all have a certain fear, even though we will not quickly link it psychologically? Is there something beneath?
So there seem to be some of the issues that were existent before COVID-19. I remember one saying that children in the village are sent to go and sell, those who are living with their grandparents, etc. These are things which we can refer to as child labor, and were there even before this pandemic. But I can figure out that they could be worsened even in this era or in these difficult times, because economically everybody is going down, and if there are kids or a home all the time that you have to feed, then all hands must be on deck. And so probably a younger one who previously would not be sent to go and sell in the market would now have to join the older siblings carrying stuff to go and sell. So I figure out that these already existing problems would aggravate even in this pandemic. There was another person who touched on the curricula which existed even before this pandemic. I am sure that we all appreciate that these are not normal times, and you would not have things as normal as we had it prior to this pandemic. All our education, psychologically and mentally, is geared towards having our lives as close to normal or as close to pre-pandemic era as possible. And so if children cannot go back to school and sit in class and be taking one after the other through their curriculum, and in fact being offered the opportunity to pick up weaker students and give them more attention and all that, we cannot sit down with our hands folded and throw our hands in despair. We still must do something to get our lives close as normal as possible. And so if we have to adopt to e-learning strategies, and we really have to, just so that children can have a mimic or a mimicry of what their lives prior to this pandemic was. There was one school that said that when they do e-learning, the kids must be in their school uniform, and many parents did not understand this. I tell them this is one of the very good decisions some of these schools can take, that even if they have to meet on any e-platform for learning, the children must appear in their school uniform. That instills discipline and allow children to attach the importance that there is to their studies. And again, it gives them a close picture of what would have happened in reality. And so we are definitely in difficult times, and so everybody must keep their lives and their lifestyles to fit the difficult times in which we are in. Somebody also brought up the issue of children who may not have access to internet and may be left out of all of this. I have engaged some children in more rural areas by asking them about what they have heard about the infection prevention control measures, and I tell them, can you just draw this information, put this information into drawing one day at a time? So imagine and draw what it means to keep a social distancing, what it means to wash your hands regularly. And children are very imaginative, and this will be a very good task for them to do the whole day. Let it look like even a competition among the siblings and see who gives the best picture by the end of the day. And these are all little things we can use to engage the children. And when it comes to their e-learning, they may not benefit directly, but parents can still contact their teachers via phone call, voice, means of voice phone calls, and get some assignments for these children to do so that they are not entirely left out.
Okay, there's a question. Oscar is asking, Oscar says, my son asked me that now that current curriculum is based on group sitting, how are they going to sit to observe social distancing? That is his worry. And this is Oscar sending us this message. There are a lot of questions on education. This one says, in fact, I don't see schools reopening anytime soon because of the alarming rate at which the disease increases. An attempt to reopen schools will simply predispose our kids to the deadly disease. Gariba Musa in Gambaga also making this point. There's another one also having to do with education, but somebody also asking why the numbers are going up. And I particularly also want to ask you this, because ordinarily, and we've talked about this several times, like the technical words and descriptions that the experts give to the numbers and the cases, to the very ordinary person, it doesn't seem to go down well, because we see the numbers going up. Like you wake up today and we've crossed 3,000. Are we, as ordinary people, going through our own mental issues? Is something blocking us from simply understanding the science?
That's an interesting question, Mama V. Many of us are not science-oriented, so it's understandable that we don't understand the science behind all of this. All we know is figures, and that is what we can deal with. So, understandably so. And indeed, when our sense of judgment is clouded by anxiety, we fail and refuse to even see the signs that are being explained to us, even by the experts. And so, yes, already there is an underlying anxiety, and because of that, when somebody comes to explain, it's almost as if, well, I can't take it. I mean, clearly numbers are going up. They are doing percentages, they are doing rates. Our death rate is still below 1%. When you look at other countries, they are 6%, 15%, etc. And so I have said before that let us believe in the system. Not everybody is a scientist. Not everybody is a researcher. Not everybody is a public health expert or a mental health expert. And so if experts in these specific areas come and they tell you that what our figures, even though our figures are going up, they mean A, B, C, D. Can we just trust in the system? Can we put our anxiety aside and just trust the system? And this will be for our own good. And for our own mental health as well. I got somebody also asking, when you were talking, Mama V, about how children will be seated in the classroom if they have to go. I am not sure when schools should open. I may not be able to speak to that, but I know that this pandemic may stay with us for the next 2 years or more. Are schools going to be closed down for the next 2 years? If your child is in class 3, and we have to stay home, or they have to stay home for the next 2 years, when schools reopen, are they still in class 3 or they have jumped to class 5? I mean, our lives must go on. One of my senior colleagues, Dr. Ohene, recently said, everybody should begin to embrace the new normal. COVID is here with us. We better plan our lives around it, because it may take some while before it finally leaves the system. And so if children have to go to school, which I'm not an expert to speak to that, but if they have to go to school, I am sure that all the necessary infection control measures will be put in place. They may have to be seated like in the exams hall all the time when chairs are separated and all that. But hey, if you need to cut down on the anxiety of your child, you, the adult, must work on your anxiety first. And so parents, adults, let us make sure that we have our anxieties under control so that we can effectively communicate with our kids, even in this era. And there are several things as adults we can do. Just distracting yourself just go for a walk, of course, with your mask. Put up what we call a gratitude journal. Just on a daily basis, list at least 3 things that you are grateful to God for, 3 things that is happening in your life that you think that is a positive thing. And that gratitude seems to be difficult to exist with anxiety. It seems that whenever there is gratitude or you are grateful to God for something, it's almost impossible for gratitude to coexist with anxiety. So on a daily basis, sit down, ponder about 3 things that you can be grateful for. We call that gratitude journal. And that would also help cutting down on our anxiety. Distract yourself, check in with friends. It's been found out that connecting with friends via phone or voice or video is more effective than emails or text messaging. And so let us connect meaningfully with loved ones, with close friends. Watch a movie together, and together can be done even virtually. You are in your home and my home. On the weekend, we are watching a movie and discussing on WhatsApp group page or on a social media platform. And that brings us to a close to physical connection as much as possible. So across age groups, we need to check our anxiety level. And don't let us forget our elderly. There's been advice that because they are more prone to more severe aspects of this illness, they should stay out as much as possible of public domain. They should cut down on the number of visitors that come to see them. And remember, the elderly group are already isolated. Most of them are retired, some of them are bereaved because of their spousal death, etc. Or some of them even have disabilities that have caused them to become lonely. And with the extra measures of social distancing, and with them even an added caution that they should cut down on visitors, their loneliness is likely to be deepened. And so we should not forget our elderly. We should check up on them by whatever means we can. Phone calls, video calls. If we can visit them and keep our social distancing, that would be good. Let them know that you are there to support. If you can do their groceries for them without coming into close proximity or contact with them, they should be very grateful for that. And so across all age groups, children, middle age, elderly, we should not leave anybody else in this pandemic. We should remember to consider and take care of each body's mental health.
All right, let's go to Facebook. We've got some questions for you there. So let's begin to share what is on Facebook. Here we go. Kojo Evans says, is there any way virologists can investigate how new viruses come about naturally, and how do they come about occurrences? Okay, this is a virology question. Let's move to the next one. These are comments on Facebook. Kinsley says, please let psychiatrists explain how to reach a peak. Okay, this is a very tricky one. You're very smart. Thanks for the question. Let's see if we can also trick our psychiatrists to attempt to explain that. Dinah says, we never had new confirmed cases without new recoveries. My point is, why is that anytime the number of confirmed cases increase, new recoveries are made? Okay, is that a psychological question? All right, let's see if we've got one more that we have to read. This one says, height is not expected in life for student doc, especially university student. How do you psychologically cope with this situation, though online studies are ongoing? And also for the trader affected by this pandemic, how do you not lose hope? Don Felic is asking that question. Doc, maybe we can start from, okay, it looks like we have one more, do we? Okay, kindly open it up. This is the very last one. Let's see. This one says, can we just open it up a little bit? Should we panic looking at our numbers rising day in and day out? John J. Bedu is asking. Doc?
No. We should not panic. When the scientists explained to us, Ghana is one of the countries that is still doing well in terms of the control of this pandemic. And I would urge each and every one of us not to panic. In any case, if there was any cause to worry, panicking in itself will not reduce the numbers. I mean, panicking itself is not an antidote to the rising numbers or to any mortality rate. And so as much as it will not do any good to the rising numbers, it would also negatively impact on our mental health. And so no matter what the situation is, let us not panic. Let us try to stay as calm as possible. And I have said that staying calm can be difficult, but it's achievable. We can do what we call the breathing in and breathing out exercise. You can repeatedly take a deep breath and slowly breathe out just for about 3 minutes consistently anytime you feel anxious. I've talked about the gratitude journal. I've talked about distraction activities like just take a walk outside, just engage yourself in some physical activities. Just decide to bake. Go on YouTube and learn how to bake, or decide to do a major cleaning in your room, in your kitchen, in your bedroom. Something to distract you. And of course, it's been said over and over again that our exposure to the numbers should be balanced. I mean, people are consistently checking on websites on the news, looking for numbers. I personally don't know. Remember the last time in this week that I checked on these numbers. And it is for our own good. Once in a while in the day, just allocate a short time that you would listen to news and update yourself with what is happening. But the constant following up with numbers in itself would be an activity that would increase our anxiety, and that should be avoided.
Okay. I think there was a question before this one whether or not we should panic. Patrick Gomez, can we bring back...
Somebody said on Facebook, somebody asked something on Facebook. I didn't get that.
Okay, Patrick Gomez, kindly bring us the last but one question that somebody asked. I think is really important. On Facebook. Whilst he gets ready to bring us that on the screen, there's also another concern being shared on WhatsApp. It says, good morning, this is Selom. Okay, but before that, Don Felek, yes, was saying that even though the online studies are ongoing, for the trader affected by this pandemic, how do they not lose hope, Doc?
So remember, first of all, that this is a global issue. And so it is not just a trader at Agbogbloshie or a trader at KJT that is getting some economic downturn or making reduced sales now. And so when something is general, then the impact some way, somehow on individuals is minimized. And so keeping a mindset that, look, you are not in this alone. The trader in central London, in the United Kingdom, is experiencing the same thing. The person in the United States is experiencing the same thing. In Cote d'Ivoire or Nigeria is going through the same thing. So this is going to be a general global economic difficulty. And it's like when we are all set to zero being used figuratively, then we all can develop means to rise up together again. And so be assured that these difficulties are not just you alone. And so when decisions are taken at the national level to reverse some of these difficulties, it would include you, the government will think about you, globally, nations or global powers in economics will think about you. And for some time, everybody will be in difficulty. And the good thing is that it will not be you alone, it will be everybody. And so we would have each other to support and each other to lean on, and then gradually we will rise again.
We know there are people who are losing their jobs, unfortunately, and we've heard that there will be many more because there are companies that can't even survive and they can't even begin to think about paying salaries. If you find yourself in this bracket, how do you stop yourself from slipping into depression?
So usually when people are found doing nothing, when you are inactive, then your propensity of thinking excessively and worrying excessively, that will build up your stress hormones and likely lead to anxiety and depression would increase. And so immediately find something to do. There is mask business that is booming now. There is hand sanitizer business that is booming now. People are finding it difficult to even get hot meals, lunch meals to eat at appropriate places because they are worried about contracting the virus and all that. Immediately think about what next can you do? I have been taken out of my normal profession, but that is not the end of it. I still have my 2 hands, my feet. I still have life. I still have strength. What other business can I do? Can I quickly shift into something on my own? Is there a hobby that I can now quickly turn into a trade? These things will sort of give us a sense of security and will be able to probably bring in little income for us to keep sustaining ourselves. But at the end of the day, if you think that you are not finding where next to move into, talk to friends, talk to people. What else can I do? Is there any business opportunity? You know, when they said that a problem shared is half solved. And so when we talk in these times, then we are better able to get the right advice concerning our situation. So don't let us keep things within. By all means, this is the time to talk. People who are secretive at this time should open up. Whatever difficulty, take advice from people, and they may have other business opportunities to help keep us busy so that we don't panic and become overly anxious. And if this is the time you can cultivate something small at your backyard, just grow cocoyam. Cocoyam will give you the cocoyam itself and give you contomere on top, so that money you would have used to go to the market and purchase some of these foodstuffs, you can just get at your backyard. You can easily plant pepper, some vegetables, and these are all things everybody must put in place to curb the economic downturn that we may experience soon because of this pandemic.
In ending the conversation, I would like to read this from Echo in Lashibi. Echo sends me 2 very important messages. One is that the level of stress is so high that it could degenerate into other sicknesses, especially the issue of job losses or non-payment of salaries is making things worse. And then he comes back to say children of today are fast learners, and so the psychological effect has had a toll on them as well. Just have a look at the video of this little girl educating people in the protocols. And I've seen a very cute little boy who's asking people to wash their hands. But any comments that you want to make on this, particularly the job losses leading to people developing sicknesses?
Yes, Mamabi, it is something that cannot be avoided. It is to be expected. Why should I still keep engaging you if I can no longer pay you or remit you? And especially those in the private sector are struggling in this area. I would say again that quickly find an alternative. I'm sure that many people are in this country who do not do one job, car boot sales, and then they are still working in the bank. By the time they get to their office break time, they open their boots and I'm selling these shoes, I'm selling belt, I'm selling what. So people should begin to think about alternative things to do in these times. Otherwise, if you rely on just one source of income, then the difficulties may worsen. And so everybody should think about what next they can do. And it will be good to take advice from experts in this area. Just talk to people, and people will be able to give you ideas about what may be good or what business could be good to be run at this time. You cannot blame employers for laying people off around this time. It is normal, it is to be expected, it is not their fault, and people must accept. And if you are working in any company, in order to prevent yourself from being laid off, it will be a good opportunity to innovate other means to keep your company going, to keep your company running, so that the layoff does not affect you. Things are changing. So the usual previous time that people used to sit down, wait till the end of the month, do things normally, and their salaries are paid are over. Everybody should bring hands on deck, should bring up innovative ways that their companies can be more sustainable, even in these days.
All right.
If that doesn't happen, move to another profession, another business, another something, business, money generating venture that will keep our finances going. All
right. Doc, we're very grateful for your time this morning. Thank you for addressing all the questions. That's head of psychiatry at the Komfo Anokye Teaching Hospital. Doctor on call this morning, Dr. Ruth Owusu-Antwi, head of the psychiatry units of the Komfo Anokye Teaching Hospital. Thank you all for sending your questions through. I'm still seeing lots of questions on education in terms of reopening and what's going to happen. So we have to find another time and deal with that situation with the appropriate resource persons. But thank you for joining us on this conversation. Well, up next, we're celebrating a huge man. He's known as a father for all and often referred to as King Solomon for his sense of judgment. Asantehene Otumfuo Osei the second turned 70 on Wednesday, and our colleague Erastus Saridonko has been speaking to a historian and servant of the Menhyiea Palace, Osei Bonsu Safo Kantanka, who's been giving us a glimpse into the king's private life. Enjoy.
Born Berma Kwekudia on 6 May 1950, the 16th occupant of the Golden Stool is fifth child and third son of his mother, the late Asantehene Nana Afiakobi Sewampin II. Otumfuo's primary education started in Kumasi and continued in 1964 at Sefioso Secondary School. He followed up with accountancy studies in 1971 at the Institute of Professional Studies, now University for Professional Studies, Accra. Otumfuo studied Human Resources Management and Public Administration at the London Metropolitan University. As a senior consultant in Canada and England between 1981 and 1985. He has been resourceful in many entrepreneurial ventures before being installed as the Asantehene on April 26, 1999. Researcher and historian Osei Bonsu Safo Kantanka describes him as a great family man.
Well, he's a father of everybody, but he married. He's married twice in his life. The first one had two children, two males, and the second had no children. Then the present one he is married to has two children. Over and above all his own biological children, he's adopted more than 80 children whom he treats as his own children. And even apart from that, adding up to about 100 children, he has still many, many more he is responsible for. He pays for their everyday life, their school fees, and many, many more. So you can say that he is a father of everybody.
We have also been expanding and modernizing.
Otumfuo has been described as fair, just and firm in his kinship role, but in his personal life, close associates find him kind-hearted, humble and peaceful.
He's the nicest person you can ever imagine. He has a personal touch. When you meet him once, it will be for a lifetime. You will definitely have a good memories of him. He's very easygoing, but he's just somebody who is very strict to his traditional rules and his customs as well.
He's a very sociable person if you know him personally. He's very good, good-hearted, very kind human being. I don't know if you have spoken to any of his friends or families. I mean, anything that you ask of him, he will give it to you. He'll go beyond, in our chieftaincy, he go beyond Ashanti region to do a lot of things for all regions in Ghana.
One of his nephews, Nana Atapu Kwajiman, sums up his interest in education, which has endeared him to the hearts of many people, especially for his education fund.
Told me even before he ascended the throne was that he believes that the greatest asset every human being should have or should be given is education. And even when I was in Achimoto school, he was living in Accra and he took particular interest in my education. And it came as no surprise that when he ascended the throne, he established the Otumfuo Education Fund. So education is very key to him, and he makes sure that not only those who are his kith and kin, but all and sundry who are brilliant and needy, he set up a fund to invest in that.
Many know him as the king of the Ashantis. In fact, he has earned the accolade King Solomon, because when he assumed the throne, he was able to resolve many chieftaincy issues that have been on the table for years, within months. He will be remembered for so many things. Today, in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic, not many people could cross that road to be able to wish him well. But his name will forever live on as the wise king who ruled fairly and just. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Kumasi. On behalf of the entire multimedia team, we want to say a happy birthday to Otumfuo Setsu II. We know the day was yesterday, but we continue to celebrate you really. Happy 70th. Stay with us. When we come back, it's Fancy Gadam here on the show.
Well, so we're here to have a conversation with Fancy Gadam. And Mama V, promises to be exciting, doesn't it? Because Fancy is already at the background and we're waiting.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He's a man that I interacted with, I think it was back in 2017 already. You know, when he won big at the Ghana Music Awards, but he's gone on to win some other awards. We're checking up with him and finding out what's happening, particularly around this time. So, Fancy, good morning to you. How do you say good morning in Hausa?
Okay, in Hausa you say Kolafia.
Kolafia? No,
Kolafia, that is in Hausa, but if you want to say in Dagbani, it's Dasiba.
No, say that again. Dasiba.
Dasiba. Yeah.
Okay. Dasiba.
So Dasiba, how are you going to respond?
Nah.
Nah.
Okay. Sale, what's up with you? How has it been?
Yes, everything cool, everything is okay. There's the virus has spoiled everything, you know. But alhamdulillah, we give thanks to Almighty Allah.
Yeah, 2020 was looking really good for you in the beginning, because I remember you bagging one award at least. What were the plans for 2020 before this whole coronavirus?
My plans was to, you know, I did my dream album concert in Tamale, and my plan was to tour with the album. Okay. I mean, the whole region, I mean, the whole Ghana, I mean, to the world. But this pandemic has seized everything. I had to, you know, put a stop to it. You know, I just finished my tour in Accra, the dream concert in Accra, the Bokum Square. And after that, we had the news, there's a virus, coronavirus, you know, shaking the world. So I had to put a stop to everything that I was doing. So it was really bad for me.
There are some of your colleagues who are locked up in Italy, in America, in the UK. Where do you find yourself? Are you in Tamale right now?
Yes, I'm in Tamale. I'm in the north.
Okay, well, good for you. So how is the?
So I'm in Tamale in the north, and I basically based in Houston, in Tamale. Yeah.
Okay, apologies there. We're just having a little problem with the internet this morning. So Fancy, on coronavirus in Tamale, do you move? Are you indoors or you move around? How is it like?
We are indoors, and we come out small because they do not ban us from coming out, but you just have to keep the distance from people because you don't know where you might get the disease. And we always make sure we go with the nose covers, make sure we distance ourselves from this virus. But we are cool. We are living normally now.
Are you helping with the education? Because you know the concern now is there are many people who are not taking coronavirus seriously, and so they are not doing the right things. They are not washing their hands. They are not wearing the mask. They are not social distancing. What have you observed?
Yeah. So when this thing came up, I heard a lot of songs that is in English, and I realized a lot of people down here don't even understand the word corona, and some people don't understand English. So I took it to myself that I have to do a song to educate my people. That was the first thing that I did. I educated my people who don't understand English. I tell them in my local dialect as to how to keep themselves, make sure they wash their hands often, and then make sure they use the nose masks, make sure they distance themselves from the public because nobody knows where you could get the disease, you understand? So that was the first thing I did when I heard everything about the coronavirus. And then the hand sanitizers too, I told my friends to make sure you get some. And later myself and my management had to get a lot of sanitizers to share around the villages and family. But I didn't publish it, but because if you are a musician, any little thing you do, it will come out. But I did not bring it out on the media, but my fan base has to, keep talking about it. And right now it's on the media that once again I did that. Yeah.
Good. Roland?
Yeah. And I know that because of this, your schedule has already been disrupted. You said that. How have you projected that perhaps post-COVID, you can be on track, organize shows that would also keep you in line with what your own schedules for the year will be?
For now, no one knows where our business is heading to, because at the end of the day, that's where we survive. We survive on organizing concerts, you understand? And then now we can't socialize with people. We can't do any concert again. It is really affecting us because some part of the world, some other artists can sell their music online. I'm not saying I don't have fans who can buy my music online, but majority of my fans don't know much online. They can't stream to my music, you understand? So it is very difficult for me to earn much, like if I could organize my own concert, because that is where Fancy Gadam and some of the artists are benefiting, because especially in the northern region. If you organize your own concert in the northern region, you make money, people come and support you, because it is not everybody that can stream your songs online. You understand? So it is really affecting me when it comes to that.
Now, alternatively, do you think there are other means that perhaps the time has presented for you? You're indicating that in other countries or in better societies, you are able to do streaming. Perhaps your management and yourself can explore that.
Yeah, we can do that, but it's not a one-day job. You understand? It's not a one-day job to educate all the families. And then right now we can't even socialize ourselves. How can we educate the families? You understand? We have been doing that previous years just to educate them, let them know that they need to stream our songs online. But it is not everybody that understands it. You understand? And so that's what is affecting us.
Yeah. And we're getting a lot of comments here following this interaction. I have this one from Kwame Osei Mensah from Kumasi, and he says that how many songs were you planning on releasing during 2020?
Yeah, so I just released my new album, that is the Dream album. And the album is out now, it's online. If you have not heard a lot of songs from Fancy Gadam, you can check it online. Fancy Gadam Dreams album, it is online, go and get it. And besides that, I would have been releasing a lot of singles with videos. But because of the social distancing, how to even shoot a new video is very difficult. Because before Fancy Gadam has a brand new video or a quality video, I have to travel from Tamale to Accra or out of Ghana to get a better video. You understand? But these things or lockdown, you can't go out of Ghana to even record a nice video that you want to. It is really affecting us, seriously.
And this one is Mohammed Swalisu, and he says he lives in Tamale. He's asking, who are the individual Northern rich men who usually support you, and how are you faring with their support now in this period?
Northern rich men. Okay, so a lot of people support me. It is not only the rich, even the poor support me. Everybody loves Fancy Gadam in the Northern region. So, and you should know that Fancy Gadam has management. So whatever I'm doing with my career, it is my management that is supporting me financially. You understand? But for a fan who loves Fancy Gadam, they support me whenever, with anything that I'm doing. If I have a concert, actually, buying my songs online, actually supporting me, they just love me. Yeah.
And I have this one also. Sanusi Daga. Sanusi Daga is texting from San Diego. He wants to know how many African artists do you intend featuring after the coronavirus crisis?
Yeah, so a lot of plans. I was even, we had some dealings with Patoranking, and after Patoranking, Fancy Gadam and the team, we would have bring whiskey to Tamale. And whenever I'm bringing somebody to Tamale, there would be a collaboration. You understand? And not only whiskey, I have plans in featuring Diamond, Davido, Shatawale, a lot of artists. Across the world, yeah.
Well, interesting. I've also seen messages where people are addressing One Don. Is that your other name? People are saluting One Don?
Yeah, One Don. That's my other name. My fan base call me One Don.
Okay.
Simple means I am one of a kind. That's the meaning of One Don.
Okay. How is the Gadam Nation? I mean, how are you communicating with your fan base?
Yeah, so we talk. We are like family. Earlier on, I told you in our interview, I have so many WhatsApp groups. I have a lot of following on Facebook. I have a lot of following on Instagram, Twitter. So always we interact, and a lot of them come into my DM, giving messages on my inbox. Yeah.
People are losing jobs. People are losing their daily bread. I mean, there are very ordinary persons who can afford to feed. What are some of the issues that you've heard people raise, particularly because you command a whole nation in terms of your Gadam Nation? What are some of the issues that are coming up because of the COVID-19?
Yeah, so I just heard a lot of people, they are losing their jobs just because things are moving slowly. Things are not normal like it used to be. And then even I strongly believe a lot of people from our side too might be losing hopes. But if you don't earn something in what you are doing, you'll be frustrated, So a lot of people are really losing their jobs. But we pray that Almighty Allah will to take this virus away from us. That is why we are fasting. We are in the fasting month right now. We're off fasting, praying to Almighty Allah to save us from this dangerous disease, inshallah.
This man wants to know, I think he says it's from Boku, and he wants to know, what's your relationship with Macasio?
Yeah, my relationship with Macasio, yeah. So Macasio is a brother who is also doing music in the London region. Okay, he's a rapper and I'm a singer. We are all brothers. He's from Zojeli, I'm from Zongo. We are all pushing the Lord to the world.
Roland, there's a question from Stoneboy from Rock City. Can you please ask him whether he has a song about COVID-19 to educate his fans, since he has the strongest fan base in the North? Yes, he has a song. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do, Fancy Gadam, because you have a song in your local dialect to educate people about COVID-19. You're fasting, right?
Yes, I'm fasting, yeah.
Okay, so just clear your throats and do the song for us. Because I can't ask you to drink water. So just are you ready to do it?
I know, right? So it goes like this. Coronavirus Delta, Katizartaba, Virus Delta, Katakumurtaba, Coronavirus Delta, Katizartaba, Believe soon it's some Taba, Amakatakumurtaba, from sanitizer, the yellow in the song, Mawia humanizer, Belgum appetizer, Corona bite, the Bilban in Kurubu, the bite, the Bilban in Kurubu, the Zoaya Matu come the day, the wound of Gilman come the day, the Gulamaka go come the day, the Malan and Damaru. Pam dummy, pam dummy, pam dummy. I should play the shop Timmy, shop Timmy, shop Timmy, shop Timmy, shop Timmy. I should play the shop Donny, shop Donny. Coronavirus, Garza. Katazartaba. Yes.
I don't understand, apart from the corona I heard and the sanitizer. What are you saying? What is it saying in English?
Yeah, so I was just saying that coronavirus has really caused mess in the world. And because of this, we fear each other. We fear to get close to each other. When we're supposed to help each other, now we fear each other. You understand? Because you don't know who you get close to, and and this virus will get to you. You understand? So I was telling my people that because of this, they should distance themselves. They should make sure they wash their hands often and make sure they use hand sanitizers. Keep the necessary things to distance themselves from getting the disease. Yeah,
great. Just before Roland comes in, Abdul Rauf is reaching you from Takwa. He says, I really miss Fancy Gadam. Greetings to all nation nationals. Hashtag one dawn, hashtag Gadam Nation forever. I'm getting a lot of that one dawn. So big ups everybody that's sending us a message and hashtagging it one dawn. Roland.
Yeah. Big up in the show.
And I know that this year is a political year. Ideally, you would have been composing songs, right? For the parties, going to their rallies, etc.
Hey!
You are missing out.
I won't compose any song to any party.
But
I won't do that. But if they come for me to perform, my work is to perform and entertain people. So when they come for me to perform, I go collect.
You go collect. I like that. There's a follow-up question when you mentioned the people that you're hoping to feature. Somebody says feature Wizkid. That's from Zoology from Accra. Says please tell Fancy to feature Wizkid on a song for us. But are you talking to other people around this time? Is it giving you the opportunity to even create new music? I know you have an album that you are promoting. Are you working on new stuff?
Yeah, so I will even say it's an opportunity for us because we are not busy to go to shows, but you can't even go to the studio. So, but because of the Ramadan, we only get chance in the night. So after you break your fast, and then you just go into the studio, see what God gives you. Because some of us, we don't have time to sit and write. You just go into the studio, whatever comes into your head, and you throw it out. Understand? So we are recording a lot of songs, hoping to see that this whole thing will leave us and will come up and entertain our fan base, inshallah.
Fancy, here's a question that I will never would have asked you, but somebody's asking. Gabriel from Garu says, I want to know whether Gadam music clips, the ladies are from the north.
Yes.
Is there?
So Gabriel is asking if all the ladies that he sees in your music clips are from the north.
Yes.
It's not all of them. It's not all of them, because sometimes I shot some in London, you know, some in Dubai, in Nigeria, some in Ghana. So, you know, they are all Gadam nationals, not in the north. The Gadam nation is worldwide. You understand? But not every girl who is in my video is from the northern region.
Okay. All right.
But some of them are in the northern region.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got to wrap up. Roland, have you got more questions for him?
No. He should just continue doing good music. I love him as always. So.
Okay, Fancy, I have one question. What do you miss most? What do you miss that you're not able to do, obviously, because of coronavirus?
Yeah, so I miss, you know, me being on stage, and my fans is fully packed in the stadium. Leaving me small in the middle. That's what I miss. I miss it so much.
Fancy Gadam, you know, it's always fun talking to you. I love your music. I'm a big supporter. So big ups to you. But keep spreading the message, okay? Because we need guys like you to keep sending the message on coronavirus and how people should do the right thing.
Inshallah. Thank you so much. I will do that. And big up to my fan base who always believe in Fancy Gadam. After this Ramadan, I have one song for you guys entitled Fancy Gadam.
Oh, nice.
Fancy Gadam is coming with a song called Fancy Gadam.
You should. Okay, and after that, you do one with the AM show, but that one we'll talk about it. Fancy, thank you.
No problem. Thank you so much.
One done.
One done. Hey.
One done.
One done.
Yeah, one done. Well, I know one person who has been watching us, and Oscar Mensah, you work with MultiChoice. You say you also love Fancy Gadam, and my nose marks as well. Good one.
Okay, I've got a very special dedication, Roland. It's a happy 70th birthday to Reverend Joseph Akwesi Amano Amate. It's your birthday today, Reverend. It's from your wife, Mama Esther, your children, Sandra and John Tay in South Africa, Samson, Richard, Peter, Edmond, Victor, and all your grandchildren. And the message is, we love you, Daddy, and may God richly bless you. May you live to see your great-grandchildren. We will celebrate after COVID-19. Stay blessed, Daddy. So it's a happy 70th to you, Reverend Joseph Kwesi Amano Amate. Enjoy your birthday today, Reverend.
Well, we have to take a break. When we come back, we'll bring you all the latest when it comes to showbiz. Remember, we have that live interaction. We'll take you to the Ministry of Information conference room. We'll bring you all the latest when it comes to Ghana's efforts at managing the coronavirus pandemic.
Stay with us.
Good morning, my name is Caddy and this is Showbiz right here on the AM show. Now to my very first story, hip life musician Dada Havko has revealed that he's not focused on winning awards. He received a nomination for High Life Song of the Year at this year's Vodafone Ghana Music Awards, and he tells me that he's more focused on his music and how it impacts the lives of people and not awards.
I think that winning an award is a plus, you know, to every career that you choose. But I don't also put too much focus on that. You know, the main focus is to better my music, make it touch many lives, because the more my music touch many lives, the more award event organizations will come to me. So my focus is not mainly on the award, even though when I win, it's a bonus, but I'm not putting too much hope on that, or like I don't have my eyes fixed mainly on that. But my heart is also with them because they are stakeholders in the industry, and when these awards happens, it elevates, every artist one way or the other once you've been nominated. So my heart is with them. But personally, for me, for it being stalled because of me winning and things like that, I don't really focus too much on that. If I win, it's a bonus, but if I don't, yes, it's giving me some validation and elevation, and I'm cool with that.
We'll take you live to the Ministry of Information. Well, we're going to have the COVID team giving us the latest update. Of course, the Minister for Information, Kojo Nkrumah, will be moderating, keeping us up to speed with why we have the current numbers and what we should be doing. In the meantime, we will intersperse this period with a lot of interaction with you. We would want to know what you think about the current count of Ghana. Now we're in the region of some 3,000 in excess, and it also means that the appeal, especially from the Minister for Health, comes as an opportune one that all of us need to take advantage of. So in the meantime, look, with the phone lines will be opened. Just tell us, wherever you find yourself, how are people behaving as far as the related issues are when it comes to COVID-19? How do you also know what the protocols are, and how are you going according to them? And the phone lines will be on your screens. Very soon you'll get to know the lines, and then you can tell us what you think.
Okay, so the numbers are scary. 3,000.
Yeah, 3,000. Yeah, so we have confirmed cases 3,091.
Yeah.
And then we have recoveries 303, and then we still have 18 deaths. Central region at 59. Central region has 50. Western region 32. Volta region 30. The Upper East region 16, OT 23, and then we also do have the Upper West region with 19. We have to take you through the numbers, and well, the numbers are on your screens, and you can find that the topmost figures again are located or have been recorded in the Greater Accra region. 2,579. The numbers are, the Ashanti region follows closely, not very close actually, with 165. We also do have 95 recorded for the Eastern region, Western North 56, Central region 50, Western region 32, Volta 30, Upper East region 26, OT region 23, the Upper West region 19, and then when you scroll down, you get more of the numbers as they are. These are the official figures from the site dedicated by the Ghana Health Service. COVID-19, there's a slash for you to be able to get all the analysis. And there's also the gender distribution. 61% of these cases are males, and the rest being females subsequently. And the age distributions are also available, and just in case you want to make a critical meaning of these numbers by your own extrapolations, you can go there and study them adequately. But in the meantime, we will get interactive because we want to know what have been your own observations over the period. In the community that you live in, are people observing the various protocols as have been well outlined over the period. Wearing of face masks if you are going out, you are in a gathering or in a crowd, or you're talking to other related people, and then washing your hands with soap and the running water or using a sanitizer. More so, what do you make of these interact with? And so please, the numbers are going to be on your screens, and they are. The WhatsApp platform is also available for you, and let us know what you think. 03022116991 or 2. Again, the number on your screen, you can call now, our studio numbers, and let us hear from you. 2 numbers, 03022116991 or 03022116912. And so it's either the 1 or 2. So 03022116991, and then we have 03022116992. Call us. We also do have a WhatsApp platform, and regularly where we feature many of your comments, where we read them out. And the number is 0540 10 909. Very much available. Let us hear from you. We already do have from Techiman, Obed. Obed, good morning to you.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, nice having you on the line. But tell us about the Techiman situation, or the community that you live in, Techiman specifically. Where exactly do you live, or you're calling from?
I live around Jerusalem in Techiman.
Great. What are your own observations, Obed? Tell me about how people behave and relate.
The area in which I live is not a densely populated area. But then I often go to town. Yesterday I was in town, and I observed that the number of people who are using the nose mask seem to be on the increase. I've observed quite a number of people using it, although it is not as we expect. But then the quick comment I want to make about the Veronica bucket, the use of the Veronica bucket in washing hands, is that people seem to be relaxing when it comes to that aspect. Initially, it was quite high. You know, Techiman hasn't recorded a case yet, but in almost every shop you enter, the Veronica buckets were available. But yesterday, the last 2-3 days, I've observed that the Veronica buckets are there, but people are not patronizing, people are not using it as they were using it in the past. That's the little observation I've made.
Well, thank you, Obed. But with this sort of information, how then, as a person, do you also tend to educate people around you?
Yes, the community leaders in Techiman are doing a lot. I believe it is their effort that has even helped Techiman not to record a case yet. You know, Techiman is a commercial center. People travel from all parts of the country and even outside the country to Techiman. So it's a very densely populated. The center of town is quite densely populated when it comes to especially the market days. But the community leaders have done a lot. The markets have been scattered around. You see a number of, just to help the social distancing to be observed. And in fact, I commend the community leaders for what they've done. But then my worry is the use of the Veronica bucket. People, the hand washing seems to be going down. That's the observation I've made.
Well,
that is my worry.
Yeah, also from Techiman is Maxwell. Coincidentally, 2 of them calling from same town. And where in Techiman do you live? And what are your own observations, Maxwell?
At a place called Aboso.
Aboso. What are your observations, knowing how Techiman is like?
Obed just said, Roland, it's not all that different from what Obed just said. But one thing is, it's like people are not all that cautious about what is happening. People still think it's not true. I have to be honest. People still think it's not true. Well, people are, I don't know if the laws should be enforced more. Because if you leave it into the hands of the Ghanaian, well, it's not going to help. I have to be honest. You sit in a car and then somebody wants to tell you.
Okay. Well, thank you, Obed.